The herd hierarchy, the top 10 teams in the National Football League on a Tuesday every week at this time. Here we go.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
By the way, there's not much to like about the Rams. Their defense, their third down defense is lousy. They're not running the ball effectively. They've given up the ball 6 times, tied for the most in the NFL, and they're averaging 58 yards rushing. That's 31st. Why do I like them? Because I trust McVay, Aaron Donald, that defensive front, and Stafford. But right now, Stafford didn't play in the games. He didn't practice much in the preseason, and they are choppy up front, and they're a mess. They're doing things that lose football games. But again, I know my coach is an A, my quarterback's an A, and the defensive front is a real thing, so I think they'll get it figured out. I feel the same way about Cincinnati, but I think the Rams are better than Cincinnati.
Number 9.
The Ravens. Listen, they had a bad fourth quarter. That's the biggest blown lead, tied for it in franchise history. This is a really good team. They're the only team averaging 7 yards a play. That's the best. Not even Kansas City averages that. They're fine. They've only given up 1 turnover all year. That's tied for the fewest in the league. They do a lot right. They had a terrible quarter because they got a bunch of rookies in the back end. Baltimore's an excellent organization. I probably have them too low. I'll put them at 9.
Number 8.
Listen, I like Minnesota, and I picked the Eagles last night to win. This was a tough spot. Off a Green Bay divisional rival game and a great performance, Kirk Cousins now is 2-10 on Monday Night Football. Their defense, though, it gets carved up a little bit on the ground. They're giving up 6.5 yards a play. That's not good enough. But they do have a lot of sacks. So last year, one of the issues was they gave up big chunks of yardage and had no pressure. So they are getting to the quarterback. They are creating situations of distress for the other quarterback. So I still like them. Vikings 8.
Number 7.
I don't buy too much into the Dolphins, but I will say this. They're number 2 in total offense. They're a lot like Philadelphia over in the other conferences. They're productive. They're moving the ball. Tyreek Hill right now and Jalen Waddle are the 2 leading receivers in the league, and they've got an excellent young coach. They really are a lot like Philadelphia. The difference is I think Jalen Hurts is more dynamic than Tua is. Tua may be a better thrower, but we've got to be honest about that. In their last 9 starts with Tua, they're 8-1. I got to be honest. They win games with Tua. It's not pretty, but they all come in shapes and sizes now at quarterback. They're all different. Some don't have a big arm. Some run more. And right now they're winning games, and I think they have a brilliant young coach.
Number 6.
Listen, the Niners roster to me is second only to Buffalo in the NFL. Jimmy G came in Sunday, cold, 100 passer rating. Jimmy G is 35-16 as a starter, and the division's weaker. The Niners offense right now has more rushing yards than passing yards because of how they initially started the season. But in the end, they're doing this without George Kittle and Elijah Mitchell. This is a great roster. They have drafted and developed the offensive side very well. Don't love the right side of their offensive line. But to me this morning, this feels like a team that could play for the NFC Championship. I would be the least shocked guy in the world.
Number 5.
Let's not beat up on the Chargers for losing to Kansas City. They lost 2 starting offensive linemen, including a Pro Bowl center, and Keenan Allen hasn't played much this year. He is really valuable to their offense on third down. Herbert has been unbelievable this year. His quarterback rating's 112, and Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa may be the best pass rush in the league right now, not named Buffalo. So I don't take much from that loss. They went toe-to-toe at Arrowhead. The difference is they were missing a Pro Bowl center and their most valuable wide receiver, and Herbert was playing with crashed-up ribs. That was one of the great losses of the year for the Chargers.
Number 4.
Listen, Philadelphia knows what they are. 1 giveaway all season, easily the number 1 rushing team, wildly productive quarterback who now is a superstar receiver. Folks, they're averaging like 165 yards rushing a game. Nobody's even close to that. So I think they're a handful. I think they're hard to prepare for. Listen, they were productive last year. They were productive in week 1. I don't think this is I don't think we're overreacting. By the way, it's not going to end. They play the Commanders and the Jaguars next. So as Jason said, their schedule is made for a young team to develop and get confidence. I think Philly's good. I put them at 4.
Number 3.
And I put Tampa at 3 because of Tom Brady. Is that I just think Brady, because of the 11 days off in camp and not playing in the preseason and all the offensive line issues, they are rusty. But to be honest with you, if you look at how many players have been out of games, the fact they're 2-0, including a win on the road against the Saints, this is a really good defensive front. They can run the ball. They can throw it. They are just falling apart physically on offense. But let's not kid yourself. You line up all these teams in the NFC. Would you trust Garoppolo over Brady, or Jalen Hurts over Brady, or Stafford today over Brady, or Aaron Rodgers with no receivers over Brady? I wouldn't. That, to me, is the best NFC team, Tampa.
Number 2.
Kansas City. Nothing wrong with the offense. Every stat is great. The O-line's good. The tight end's a star. The quarterback doesn't make mistakes. I got nothing, no problems with Kansas City. But I don't think their defense is good enough to bail them out if Mahomes goes on one of those 4 or 5 game mechanical slides where he's not quite right. So the Chiefs at number 2.
Number 1.
And I think Buffalo's defense, with an offense that may not be quite as slick as Kansas City overall, coaching, pass rush, defense, this defense is good enough to bail out the offense if Josh Allen struggles. I don't think Kansas City's defense is, and that's the difference. They are the ultimate Mike Tyson. They may not always have a great jab, but they'll knock you out if you're not prepared. They're a blast to watch. They run in the football. They can. Their corners. You know, here's the other thing. They've had some injuries to overcome. I just don't see a weakness. They're not always the most efficient, but their knockout punch is equal to Kansas City with a much better defensive front. And that's why they're number 1. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.